You're listening to A Midlife Less Ordinary, the weekly podcast giving you the lowdown on becoming a cool older dude. The good times are not a faded memory. It's time to start living them again. And here are your hosts, Wayne and Trev.
Hello and welcome to your weekly instalment of A Midlife Less Ordinary. My name's Wayne, and Trevor, my little journalist at the COP26 in Glasgow, he's ready to come in. Trev, you there?
I'm there, mate. I am here up in Glasgow, reporting on COP26 for AMLO. Yes, well, I am.
As you can tell. So everyone, just expect that the Trev's obviously connecting by satellite phone from Glasgow. So the actual quality of the call might not be as good as we normally have, so just bear with us. But Trev, what can you tell us about COP26? Have you enjoyed it?
It's been wonderful, mate, to be honest. Just kind of hanging out, getting all the information in for this show. Before I actually come up here, I actually thought COP26 was a new TV show, kind of like TJ Hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously now...
I was hoping Heather Locklear was making an appearance.
Oh, I forgot she was in that, wasn't she? Yeah, it's quite weird up here, to be honest. It's lots of suits, lots of ties, lots of niceties, people putting
lots
on
of
those
sleep from what I've seen on the telly. I mean, that must have suited you, didn't it?
Lots of what, sorry?
Sleep.
Yes, there was.
Joe Biden, he was asleep for, I guess, about half of the presentation.
He was, I had a couple of minutes when it was going on because it was quite boring, But the thing is, we're getting to that age, aren't we, where, this kind of thing happens. You go have a snooze in the afternoon kind of thing. Do you do that kind of thing?
Yeah, I do. Well, I'm not going to say that. Not when I'm at work, obviously, anyone who listens from work. But obviously, any other time, I'm down with an afternoon nap. The power nap, is they call it, isn't it?
It kind of takes over, doesn't it? You sit there, you're watching something, and you get comfortable.
Yeah.
Next minute, you wake up and you've missed it.
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on here? It's easily done. At our ages, mate, I think it does us good.
I think you're preaching to the converted here, Trevor.
I think I am, mate. I think so.
But this episode is obviously, you've gone up there for us to just find out a little bit about climate, because all we knew about climate was, the sun's out. That's about all we knew, isn't it? So
that's all about. I still know, to be honest, because I've been
Don't say that. What's all these expenses you're going to be putting in the next couple of weeks?
It's like, you kind of...
Well, I hope you travelled up there with very low carbon. How did you get there?
I walked.
Wow. Oh, is that why you've not been around for the last couple of weeks?
Exactly. This is it. I walked up here. It's like a power hike. Those poles you get?
I told you shouldn't be listening to the Proclaimers, Trev. I walked 500 miles. There's a load of old
exactly. I thought it was true. I thought that was the only way we could get here. On the budget we've got for the show, I thought it was one can of Pepsi Max Raspberry.
Yeah, you did well to get that. Yeah.
And half a Twix, because I give one away. Someone looked like they were in the worst places than me, so I thought I'd give them half a Twix.
So, well, thanks for doing it for us, Trev. So,
that's right, mate. Anytime,
it's climate. It's big news at the moment, obviously, with the COP26 being there where you are. And, is it what we're going to be asking ourselves on this special all about climate is this all a farce? Is it the new church? Is it the new control from the government to get us to pay our taxes? What's your opinion on this, Trev?
I think it's a lot of old slobblocks, to be honest. I know I'm kind of like reporting on it, but I do think it is a lot of old slobblocks. Because the weird thing is with it, you get all these people that are kind of saying, got to do this, got to do that. And then they're on their mobile phones, they're on this. Where's the line? I think you can only really do what you can do in this world with all the technology, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to use certain things to get by every day, because otherwise you're completely out the loop, aren't you? You can't do certain things. So I just think you can only do what you can do to make it as good as possible. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you think that we should be, with what's happening? I mean, Kevin Costner's got to be one of the biggest visionaries ever, because he made that film Waterworld, which is basically a presentation of what's going to be happening in the next few years. And it's
well, this is it. Yeah. Dennis Hopper with his eye patch.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of like
he'll be getting his royalties finally, because that film was the most expensive film ever to be made, I think, before Titanic came out, if I remember rightly.
I think it was. I think, and to be honest, it's not as bad as people say.
No, I think that the money that was spent on it at the time made people's expectations. Maybe he was ahead of his time. Kevin Costner's a visionary. He was ahead of his time. If this came out now, we'd all be going, "Oh my God, this is Canvey in a couple of years."
This is it. Canvey. Exactly. Yeah. To be honest, no disrespect to anybody who listens to him, Canvey. If that's sung, it wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Oh dear, controversial. We'll might have to edit that bit. That's very controversial. So, Trev, what I was thinking is, because it's the climate special, we'll go into the AMLO weekly wipe and we'll bust some myths about climate and what what other people say about it, what you think about it, what I think about it, and see if we can sort of come up with a general consent, because we've got a bit political the last few weeks. I've noticed.
I've noticed that we have, haven't we?
When we said we wouldn't touch politics, so I think we've offended a lot of people. But our way of looking at it, it's all not really, but this is just to put things into perspective. This is a humorous take on climate. It might be a little bit of imparting our own kind of conspiracies into it. But at the end of the day, this is just a humorous podcast. Please don't take our politics seriously.
Yeah, you don't want people kind of write it in and say, blah, blah, you said this, you said
please do that if you really want to.
If you want to.
But don't take what we're saying seriously, because what we're trying to do is entertain at the end of the day.
We're not going to change the world, are we?
No, we'll try it one step at a time, but we'll try it. But we'll go into our AMLO weekly wipe and we'll bust some myths.
Whoa.
So, Trev, I know you know most of this already, obviously, but there's a quick summary. Let's do a quick summary of COP26. You can tell me what your take was on whatever the summary was that I've seen on the news and everything. So, the US President, Joe Biden, apart from being asleep, he hails progress at COP26 before he and other leaders left Glasgow. I think he had something like a 56-car entourage, didn't he? None of them were electric. Is that true?
Well, they're going to say, yes, it is. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's all right talking a good game, isn't it? It's like saying, well, I'm going to lose loads of weight, and then you've got like a box of Quality Street on the side, and you're woofing them down. I don't. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Is there any need to have that many cars?
No, exactly. And then he's jumped on. You know what he's got on? He's got on Air Force One, not with Harrison Ford before you say it, but he's got on Air Force One. I'm sure that isn't an electric version of a plane.
I wouldn't have thought so. I wouldn't have thought it was the most kind of fuel friendly one either.
No, exactly.
I would have thought it's got so much tech on it as well.
Yeah.
That is my whole argument about the idea. It's all very nice, saying this thing, but we all use tech.
Yes.
And that kind of thing to live nowadays. You can't.
How would we do the podcast without it? We'd be shouting through a couple of tin cups and a bit of string or something.
Well, do you remember them days?
Yeah, that was a good days. It was like the early Sonic Ear. Do you remember Sonic Ear?
We could have Sonic Ear. I remember that. Yes, I remember that. Did it actually work?
It did actually. It used to hurt my ears. It used to have a lot of really loud clicking as you click the trigger.
But
it did work, yeah.
That's it. We could do this. We could actually do this show in Morse code, couldn't we? Could you imagine that cold out?
Yeah, exactly. How entertaining would that be? It would be for some train spot or somewhere, wouldn't it? It'd be like,
somebody would love it.
The best podcast I've ever heard. But
someone would love it.
Yeah, you would. But on to summary 2, Trev. Joe Biden said that it was a big mistake for China and Russia's leaders not to show up at the summit. Now, there's a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
China and Russia, the two biggest polluters, didn't bother going. But they did send delegates, apparently. But that's just like their little minions. Like, just go and show your face.
They're the ones to face. Basically, they're the cannon fodder, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. They'll be thrown to the lions next week in some sort of gladiatorial experiment.
Umbrellas in the legs. Oh, you've gone.
But apparently UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said he was cautiously optimistic about COP26 at the end of the 2-day leaders meeting. Now, this is a bloke that used to write for The Spectator, I believe, and he was a climate skeptic, and all of a sudden he's like Greta Thunberg's granddad or something. And
it's fashion, though, isn't it? You've got to be down with what's going on.
Is he really making his own mind up, or is he just doing what he thinks is the...
He couldn't give a shit. No. I don't reckon. It's just he's got to go along with whatever's happening in this. This is what I mean. There's all these kind of buzzwords, isn't there?
Well, if he was King Henry VIII and he could just go around getting taxes by holding a sword to people's head, he would do it that way, wouldn't he? And then they used the Catholic Church, then the Protestant Church and whatever, all these other churches of whatever. And now it's climate. Now it's going to be, basically, if you own a mobile phone, you're going to be paying taxes. That's how it's going to be, isn't it?
Well, they're running out of things to taxate, aren't they?
Yes.
That's what it is. What is it? What can you do? The thing is, they just target, is again, the beer taxes and the smoking taxes aren't working like they did in the 70s and the 80s, are they? Because they've encouraged people not to smoke as much, banned it everywhere. So where's that money gone?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's just what I mean. You've got, it's a kind of Peter and kind of borrow money from Peter and Paul, isn't it? You've got to get it from somewhere. So if you're thinking, well, if the beer, because obviously people don't go in pubs like they used to. But people were down a pub every night, weren't they, when we were kids?
Yes.
Because that's where you went. So then obviously you're paying for all that beer or whatever you're drinking, and there's taxes on them, isn't there?
Yeah.
So if they're not being used, to say if smoking's banned everywhere, where's you got to come from? So they look for the most obvious thing that's being used a lot, and then find an excuse to tax.
Well, they use the taxes to change the general consensus, because they've obviously told everyone who bought an electric car over the last 10 years, you're not going to pay any tax to run that car. Now people are more, there's a bigger percentage of people buying electric cars. Now, all of a sudden, do we really think they're going to make them free forever? No, of course. As soon as they've all got them, they're going to be going, all of a sudden, we need some tax.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. That will be what it was. And it'll start low and then gradually grow and grow and grow, won't it? That's the thing.
Exactly.
And can you ever see it completely being electric cars? Can you see
I can. I mean, there'll always be. I mean, I'm probably quoting some movie that I've seen somewhere, but
Johnny Cabs.
No. Well, yeah, there is that. But I do tend to think there'll be people with museums with a few combustion engines in them, and it'll be illegal to turn them on. But you'll go there, and it'll be like, and you'll love that smell of petrol. It'd be like Apocalypse Now. I love the smell of petrol. Yeah, I love the smell of 4-star in the morning. That's the way it'll be, and it'll be, we're paying for this pleasure of smelling some petrol.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is quite bizarre, isn't it?
It is. How things have changed in our lifetime.
The thing is, with all this, is me and you being quite big sci-fi geeks, and it all comes true, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It all comes true when you had those kind of like that kind of hover car sound in all these films, like that.
Oh yeah,
that's what your car sounds like now, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's just me, though, as I'm going along.
Adding the effects to it. Oh, that sounds really cool.
I'm glad you fell for it, Trev, but it's great.
Yeah, well,
it's true. No, it's true. They make them sound like that. And the electric motorbikes that I've been looking at, they sound like the speeder bikes out of Star Wars.
Really?
As they go past, and people say it's cool, but you can't hear it. You can't hear them. They still run people over because they can't hear you. But
this is it.
Basically, we are turning into sci-fi, the sci-fi of our youth.
It does. It always comes, because obviously a lot of them, like especially with the novels they're based on, obviously the authors do research, don't they?
Of course, yeah.
So they look at what is coming.
Well,
and
do you
then
think life imitates art?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
I believe that as well. It does, doesn't it? Because I remember watching. I mean, one of my early memories is watching Space 1999 in the mid to late 70s.
Commander Koenig.
Yeah, Commander Koenig.
Yeah.
And they were talking into what now would be a mobile phone, like we talk to each other on the Zoom.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I used to think that was amazing. And then I've watched things like Minority Report when they had kind of like touch screen. Well, it was beyond touch, but I think that's the next level, isn't it? That we're going to be seeing.
And I tell you what, the other one is Blade Runner. When when Rick Deckard's looking at the photo, enhance,
like a hologram sort of version.
Enhance. That's just like us looking at
Alexa,
a photo on our Alexa, or looking at a photo on our phone and pinching it so it gets bigger.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's all it is.
It is. It has happened. So they do either. Yeah, they're not visionaries in the sense of, but they know.
Oh, no.
They do. Yeah. I don't know if it inspires the people that invent the things, or if it's they can see the future.
I would have thought it's probably the other way round. I would have thought they kind of get the idea from like what they've read in kind of like remember like the electronic magazines. Or
Yes.
do you remember that? Do you remember? Is it How? Or was it Tomorrow's World?
Boom, boom. They're both
Tomorrow's World.
Yeah, Tomorrow's World. Yeah, it was cool.
Tomorrow's World. That was it. Because I tell you what, the Tomorrow's World I really remember was the one. Do you remember the old Atari cartridges?
Yes.
Well, once on there, they had a machine that would actually erase the cartridges and put another game on it. They never came out. I remember being like, well, it wouldn't. What would that have done for Atari?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Atari fucked it up anyway, didn't they, basically? But what would that have done?
Well, selling it to Alan Sugar messed them up, I mean. But,
it
wasn't that, was it?
I can say, no, Spectrum.
Spectrum, sorry,
yeah. Sinclair. But what would that have done? Because basically, all you would have done was you'd never, ever buy another cartridge, because all you do
is keep re-record, not fade away.
Yeah, not fade away.
Not fade away.
Was that TDK or?
Yeah, it had Tom Hanks out of Castaway doing the advert, didn't it?
It did. And remember the Maxwell advert as well?
Yes.
The guy sat in the armchair, his hair was...
tapes. Yeah. I mean, those were the days, kiddies. But,
always had to be metal tapes, didn't they?
It would be for you, wouldn't it? Yeah,
it would be, yeah. But they were always the good ones, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Chrome oxide. Was it Chrome oxide?
That's the ones. Yeah, cool.
That's it. Yeah.
But sorry, just to run through these summaries. More than 100 countries have now signed up to the global methane pledge. So Mr. Methane's sorted. Basically, he's going to be cut out, and
are they going to stop selling cans of baked beans then?
That's what I'm thinking, because basically, you know that they've said that basically they're going to, if we followed exactly what kind of the Friends of Insulate Brian want to happen, basically we're not allowed to eat meat anymore, because a lot of the carbon, emissions come from the cattle and everything that we get our meat from, and they're saying
basically ever going to be.
Basically, we live in, not even candles will be able, because they'll be burning we'll basically be living in the dark, eating fish. And honestly,
you're going to love life, aren't you, man?
Oh, for me, it's absolutely awful. For you, some people, I mean, for some vegan kind of new age Buddhist, it's going to be great. But
it is, man. Where's the enjoyment coming?
This is what they don't comprehend. I actually heard a scientist today, a more kind of down-to-earth kind of scientist, and he said, look, we've all got, and I think we all feel this way, we've all got investment in making the planet safer for everyone moving forward, our children's children, and everything else.
Our children's children.
Yeah, exactly, forever and ever and ever. We could do that one for yes, doctor. But he said, if we were to live the way that these people are trying to ask us to live, he said, we'd be beyond the dark ages. He said, we're just going to go back. You can't go backwards. Things always need to move forward.
That's exactly. I was talking to my brother about this, and we were saying that it's like a really vicious cycle, because you get all this technology that's going to help life and like push everything forward, and then all of a sudden someone tells you, no, let's go back a bit. What do you do?
Yeah.
It's confusing. It really is.
It is confusing. It is. And I think this is how everyone's feeling now. And I there's a bit of me again that's kind of thinking, which is terrible, really. I'm thinking, because you know what? I'm glad I'm getting old, to be honest, because I don't think I can face what's going to be happening in the next 50
I know
years.
What you mean. It's as though you've got an excuse as well, isn't it? Not to do it.
Exactly.
Well, I don't understand
it. Dead anyway. So.
I don't understand it. I don't know what they're talking about, so I don't do it.
I complete ignorance, like my dad with a remote control sort of thing. You know what I mean? When he was alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I get
There's a lot to be said for that. You can get out of doing loads of things by pleading ignorance.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Even though you do know, if you make it convincing, I don't know what that is. Well, show me it. And he's like, I've done that now. I don't have to do that again. Shows you my mind works.
No, but it's true. I think a lot of people from our age demographic think the same, Trev.
Exactly.
I'm just going to run through 5 of the scariest facts about climate change and what they're saying will happen. And you can add comment, Trev, where necessary.
Yeah.
So the first sort of scary fact is, within the next 2 decades, global temperatures are likely to rise 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now, I think what happens here is when people say, what's the problem with that? It's a bit chilly. I can do with another 1.5 degrees on the feet. Yeah, but it's not that. It's basically, it's highly anticipated by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that a certain amount of global warming is locked in and irreversible. This means within the next 2 decades, global temperatures are likely to rise 1.5 degrees. And the actual connotations of that is obviously the sea levels rise and everything else. Then we are living in water world, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
The last 7 years have been the warmest on record. And now again, we'd probably say, "Oh, that's great." You know what I mean? You could do with that. Bermuda shorts.
Who doesn't want a nice bit of weather? To be honest, it's like, I know it's a bit of a childish and a bit of a kind of naive way of looking at it, but see, the thing is, if it's only 1.5, isn't it? It's not well.
No, but apparently that's enough to cause all kinds of devastation around the world. The next one says more than 1 million species are at risk of extinction by climate change, and that's
not good.
And 1.5 degrees is the minimum we can lock in now of the rise of the core temperature of the Earth, and that's enough to cause tsunamis and everything else. Apparently,
really,
climate change is already happening, and it's detrimental to human life too. Rising temperatures coupled with a growing number of people in cities and an increasing population of elderly have increased heat-related deaths, according to a 2018 study.
Spontaneous combustion, maybe?
But that must be what it is. I remember there was a whole episode of, what was that program that used, not Tales of the Unexpected? There was some kind of
Arena or something?
No, it was some sort of Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World or something like that.
It had it on there,
just where people just caught.
It was really weird, wasn't it? Because you just see these pictures and there'd just be like a granny's pair of slippers and the bottoms of her stockings where she just blew up.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know if it is actually. I mean, that's now. I don't know if it's been debunked or not. A bit like crop circles, but I mean, otherwise that'd be massive news. When if people were really spontaneously combusting, I mean, not being funny. Forget climate change. Let's go into that. Let's worry about that. I'll be saying bye, Trev. You know, tonight I'm setting fire. I look like a Swan Vesta. You know what I mean?
The funniest thing, the coolest person to ever spontaneous combust was Spinal Tap's drummer in the film. He just did that once. He just blew up on stage. But it was never really explained, was it?
No, exactly.
You know, it was just like they said, like, well, hold on, like they just blew up. Oh, okay. Like, yeah, I believe you. Yeah.
Well, I think we've given our opinion on climate. I mean, it's the big news of the week at the moment, and it's going to be big news for the rest of our lives. So get ready. So we're just letting you into a little bit of what we got to expect for the next 20 or 30 years.
To be honest, I don't think the average person on the street really knows what the fuck's going on. Do you?
I don't think they really care. I mean,
I've been up here and I don't know still.
As I say, it's going to depend on your politics. Exactly, they're just making rules that are going to affect us with taxation. Putting rules out there, and basically they can tax us this, tax us that. We're going to be poorer, colder, wetter. It all sounds good when you put it like that in little.
Well, this is it when you put it in little bracket.
Brackets like
but
that.
I think, as you say, that's the thing, is they can kind of tax us. But you can argue and say, well, I don't want to be taxed. This is bollocks. They're taking my money, but it's good for you.
Yeah.
They take your money, but it's good for you.
We're doing it for your own good.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah, for your kids. Because they always prey on the kids, don't they?
Yeah, of course.
It's like, because it makes a parent feel guilty, doesn't it, if they're destroying the world.
People who've got children do tend to obviously take probably more notice than we are about all this.
Yes.
You know, and I do understand, again, this is just a humorous take on the whole thing. But as we say, I think
hold it against us.
Isn't it good to do recycling, cut down emissions? I mean, no one wants to be breathing in, lead fumes and carbon monoxide and all these nasties in these city centres and everything. That's all good. But
that is.
Trying to prove, I remember that in the 1970s, they said by now we would have had another ice age.
Yes.
And that hasn't happened. I know they have to say that to try and get us to come on board.
Well, it's just the worst case scenario, isn't it? It's like scare tactic. But don't you think the thing is with it, it's all right. So I'm having a pop at the average man. I'll say that again. But the average person on the street, like, do this, do that. But surely, if it boils down to it, isn't it really big industries that should take a share of the blame?
Exactly. I mean, that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to make them net zero. And people have a trouble in trying to explain what net zero means. I mean, to me, it means they'll still be emitting carbon, but what they do on the other side of it will make up for that kind of thing by planting 10 trees or something, or whatever it is they do.
Haven't you got sporting events that have been like net carbon and something?
Yeah, exactly. I think we spoke about it last week. But
how does that happen?
You offset. You basically offset whatever emissions that you the electricity you're using, you offset with what you're doing on the other hand. So basically, net zero means that at the end of the day, you're no worse off than you were before you took them both and them things into account.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm not patronising anyone. Somebody could probably explain that a lot better than I could.
I wish they would to me, to be honest.
Well, I'm trying here, Trev. I'm trying.
Yeah, well, you are, yeah.
I think that sums up our part of it. Please, if you've got any opinion on this, AMLO podcast.
I'll know a lot more than we do. Yeah. Then explain to us.
Come we'll play leave us a message on the website and we'll play, because this is going to be big news, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, that would be a great idea to get someone that actually knows about it. Yeah. To just come on here for a little while and actually explain it.
Yeah, we'll have you as a guest. That'd be great. Yeah,
that'd be brilliant. That'd be wonderful. Really good.
So, Trev, I think it's that time of the week that I know you enjoy more than any other thing.
I love it.
Do.
I love this bit.
It's the stream review of the week. So, Trev, I know you're obviously stuck in Glasgow, so now you're probably watching Taggart on repeat or whatever it's going to be. But
actually, I've been watching Take the High Road.
Oh, Take the High Road, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's a good one. You probably got posters of Richard Madden on your wall, especially he's in the Eternals, isn't he? The new Marvel film. But,
I think he is. Yeah, that looks pence, doesn't it?
You didn't like Bodyguard either, did you? When he was in.
No, I thought that was shite. No, I don't think he can act that well.
Well, there you go. Richard Madden summed up in a few words. Can't act that well. Basically, you're wasting your time, son. You're wasting your time.
Give it up. Give it up now, mate.
So what you recommending, or what you've been watching this week, Trev?
Well, two things, both on Netflix. Inside Job.
Tell us about it.
That's a new animated thing, adult entertainment animated. Ever so good. Not a classic. It's not Archer and it's not Rick and Morty, but it's well worth a look. Basically, it's like the sort of secret society of the government, the people that kind of run the world that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So there's like a kind of robot president in it. There's all these kind of things that, it's a bit kind of Men in Black without the aliens.
Okay. All these, it's not dark comedy then. It's serious drama kind of.
No. Very dark comedy. Very kind of tongue-in-cheek animated. A bit risky humour. Yeah, it's ever so good. The first episode, I was a bit like, I'm not sure, because I'm a bit weird with adult. I love watching adult animation. The problem I have is it's got to be kind of cleverly done. Yes. I just don't want cheap, dirty jokes in it, because it just feels like a cop out. It's a bit like watching Richard Pryor than watching Jim Davidson. We can all tell jokes about vaginas. Yeah,
no, I'm joking. Yeah, I've moved on.
We can always. Everyone can tell a few smutty jokes and be dirty. But it's not clever, is it? Let's be honest.
No, you've got to be a bit clever,
That's the reason some of the animation just doesn't work, because it's just like, a few dick and fart jokes and people will lap it up. But I don't think that's true. But no, definitely check that out. It's not amazing, but it's well worth a look. Definitely. Very good. What about yourself, mate?
This week? Well, you're going to be disgusted with me now, and I know this is the case, but
I like the way you preempt it.
Yeah, I know, but it's true. You are going to be disgusted with me because I've joined the sheeples, basically. I couldn't help myself. I had a spare few hours, and I thought,
Squid Game.
Yes, done it, I did. I've done the whole lot in one day.
Really?
How sad is that?
Is it worth it?
Oh God, yes, it's good. But the thing is, I don't really want to say it. I mean, this show has made $650 million for Netflix, and
Jesus,
that's more than most films make, even like some big franchises. It
is. Yes, it is. Yeah,
it's absolutely mental. But I tried to look at it. I had this spare time, and I thought, you know what? Even though Trevor and I have made a stand, we said we don't want to watch it because everyone else is watching it. But I've got a spare few hours now. Now let's make sure that I'm making the right decision with what I'm saying and everything else.
Yeah.
So I put it on, and you sort of half in, and then I couldn't help it. You get dragged into it, I can see it takes its inspiration from, there's this thing, but it's Battle Royale, a bit of Parasite, it's got all them I don't know what it is about Korea. I think it's because they've got the second highest amount of personal debt in the world, apparently. But I think that's why they have these things
money, anything for money.
Do with money, but to be honest, it's well done. It is good. It is worth. I don't think there's many people who haven't watched it apart from you now, but
I don't think there is.
So it's not hardly worth me recommending it, but it's worth watching. I mean, it is.
I will give it a go. I will give it a go. I can't, but I just didn't want to get involved in the conversations and the hype.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if it wouldn't have been kind of hyped to hell, I probably would have been all over it.
Yeah. Exactly.
If that makes sense. It does look like my kind of thing.
And it's not all violence. When they do have the violence, it is, quite. It's like watching the later Rambo film. I was like, but it's not all about violence. It's more about the social aspect.
One thing I'd like to know about certain things like Squid Game is I'm sure that when Netflix bought it or something, they really didn't think it would be that. They probably thought, oh, it's going to be something that like the sort of the more kind of Korean cinema goers and that like myself that would watch. And then why is it? This is my argument with Parasite. I know me and you have spoke about it before. Parasite is a really good film.
Yeah.
But why did that grab so much attention, but Old Boy didn't?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I because
this is what I'm saying.
It's the subject matter, isn't it? It's all about when they say about poor people coming up against oppression by people in a different class, and all this, and that's what Squid Game's about. It's all about classes, and it's like the age of going back to gladiatorial times. It is like battle royale. They've definitely taken it from that.
Exactly.
But it's got a drawn out story. 10 episodes. It's only 5 games they play in the whole 10 episodes, so you can see that it's stretched out quite a lot with story. So that it's not just all about the violence. It isn't that. So I have to be fair and say I quite enjoyed watching it. If I'm being honest,
I'll give it a go.
It is worth watching. There's no more hype. People have finished watching it, but if you haven't, if anyone who's out there who hasn't watched it. If you don't mind watching, to be fair, I think what I would do is probably take off the stupid American voices over and watch it in the original Korean language with the subtitles because it sounds ridiculous
always do that.
with the American accents.
That's
my recommendation. I'm sure everyone knows, but basically Squid Games is about hundreds of cash-strapped contestants accept an invitation to compete in children's games for very large prizes, but the stakes are deadly. So that's my first recommendation. Trev, what about your second
one? The second one has only just appeared on Netflix. The Harder They Fall, which is like a black exploitation western.
Yes. I think I saw that on there.
Yeah, don't fucking bother. To say it's style over substance is an understatement. Don't get me wrong, it looks great. I'm not a massive Elba fan, I'll admit. I just think he's a bit of a bellend. I really wanted to see it. I
can't believe you don't like Luther. I don't.
No, I don't. So me and you've argued about this before.
Luther,
I know I thought it was pence. But yeah, it looks great. It's got all the same kind of... This is going to be really controversial. All the same sort of black trappings, you just think, all right. There's no sort of suspense. I know suspense sounds like a weird word in a Western, but the feeling of dread. When you watch like Once Upon a Time in the West, Fistful of Dollars.
Even 3:10 to Yuma, you know what I mean?
When you're kind of really thinks, oh shit, this bloke's going to get it now. Yeah. There's none of that in it. It's just, let's say the only saving grace of it is the gunfight choreography at the end, which is ever so good. But again, they've gone for that thing where they've all got really kind of customized pistols and stuff, gold guns, gold barrels, white kind of handles. They all just look too cool and say the right things. It's like a kind of cheap knockoff of sort of Django or The Hateful Eight. There's a real Tarantino-ness about it. I'd probably give it about a 5 out of 10. It's not terrible, but I was quite looking forward to seeing it. It's just not that great, to be honest.
So you're basically saying that if you kind of enjoy this sort of black exploitation movement and things like that,
but again, they're getting more throwaway. I thought this with the Five Bloods, is it?
Yes.
Do you remember that one? I really was looking forward to that, and I like Spike Lee stuff, but you just think it's boring now. I'm sorry to say it is boring. You know, I just find it all a bit kind of forcing it down your throat a bit. You just think, well, I want to enjoy this, and there's no, you can't feel sorry for any of the characters in that. The harder they fall,
that's a mistake they make, isn't it?
There's too many characters in it. There's some good people in it, but it just totally. I find myself. I can always. The test for me is if I pick my phone up.
Yeah, I know.
During the film,
yeah,
because sometimes I turn it off, and then and watching that, I just turned it back on, and I was like sitting there looking at Instagram. And then I couldn't care. I didn't. Sometimes you think, "Oh, that's worth looking at." Then you rewind. You just rewind because you think, "Oh, I didn't want to miss that." Yeah. No, I just let it run. To be honest, didn't stop it when I went out in the kitchen. Didn't stop it when I made a cup of tea. Just let it run. No. So yeah.
Were you saying that when I did that with Squid Game, because I was watching all of it in like one day. Yeah. It was times when I had to just do something else, and I thought, I'll just leave it on because I'm just watching it because I actually got so into it. I did actually rewind it for like 20 minutes to catch back up with it. That's a test,
isn't it?
Yeah,
that is a test. When you start doing that, you've enjoyed it.
Exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, so that's what I have to say. So
what's your last one, man?
Yeah, so my last one is a crap one as well. So it's basically we're telling everyone to stay away from things, but it's crap. Yeah. I actually enjoyed this. And it was something I avoided, and it wasn't until when you're looking, maybe you're looking through Facebook or something, and something weird comes up that captures your imagination. Mm-hmm. And this time it was there was a picture of Roger Moore, and I can't pronounce his name, but basically it's Nick Nack out of the man with the golden gun. Is it Scaramanga's sidekick?
Yeah, I know. Well, you mean the boat in the Love Boat?
Yeah, no, he's not in Love Boat. It's not Love Boat. This is where we get confused. Or is he in Love
Fantasy
Boat?
Island.
Yes, Fantasy Island. And this is the film.
Not Tattoo, no.
No, it is Tattoo. It is Tattoo.
Oh, it is. Sorry,
everyone gets the same things confused.
Yeah.
I got confused as well. But basically, I don't know why, but this thing caught my eye. It basically said Roger Moore, before he died, said, I can't remember the bloke's name. He's got a Mexican, French kind of name. But it's basically said that he was one of the most filthy actors. He wanted to basically shag every woman on the set of
Roger Moore.
No, not Roger Moore. He was known as a bit of a boy. But
that's what I thought,
this is Nick Nack. This is like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he was. Oh, yes.
He was known for it. And I was reading, and I got caught up in it. And then he was saying about he was in Fantasy Island. I was like, Fantasy Island, that was that bloke who was in Planet of the Apes, who takes Richard Montalban, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, that's the dude. Yeah.
I thought, when one thing starts leading to another, and then it was like.
Mond, is it in one of the Planet of the Apes films?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he takes him to to the circus, doesn't he? And leaves him there. Caesar. Yeah, that one. I mean, so I got into this and I thought Fantasy Island. I remember watching that during the day when I was a kid.
You've watched the new one, haven't you?
Well. What happened was I started Googling Fantasy Island, trying to remember, because I remember like Nick Nack. Oh, he wasn't Nick Nack, obviously. He's called Tattoo. He's not Nick Nack in everything. That's a crispy sweet with scampi fries. I was like,
they were nice with a pint. They were nice.
Yeah, get them down to BRSA club. Then
that's where I was actually. Because I used to work there. I used to collect glasses there on a Sunday night.
That's what that place was good for, wasn't it?
That was the treat on a Sunday night after we shift. Was a pint and that. Yeah, it was.
When we were kids, that's the thing. But yeah, he used to on the start of Fantasy Island, he used to go up the top of the house and he'd say, Buzz, the plane. And it reminded me of all these things. And I was having sort of a memory. So you start Googling Fantasy Island and what it's about and all that. And then I didn't realise. I remember seeing it advertised, but thought, that looks like a load of crap. A Blumhouse horror film based on Fantasy Island. Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Michael Pena.
That's it. Yeah,
and do you know what? And it gives it on IMDb, which I use for all my reference to what films.
Yeah, I do. Same I do. Yeah,
it gives it 4.5 out of 10. I'll tell you what, and I read some separate reviews, and people said, look, it's not great. It's not going to win awards for being, the latest Catcher in the Rye or whatever. But but it's entertaining. Do you know what? I watched it and I found it really entertaining in a kind of cheap horror film way. They basically made a cheap horror film version of Fantasy Island. Fantasy Island is about guests going to an island where this guy called Rourke, who was Richard Montalban, and Nick Nack, or whatever his name was, Tartu, and I will get it right eventually. And basically, they fulfilled all their fantasies. And basically, they've made another TV series of this, haven't they?
I didn't know that.
It is. It's on Fox. It's you got Hulu or something like that. I don't pay. Hulu? You know me. I don't pay for more than one stream. Yeah, Hulu. It's on Hulu. Hulu. Sorry, yeah, it's on there. But it'll come out on the others soon. But they've remade the actual thing in quite the kind of spirit that the original was. But this film stands alone as a kind of based on it with the characters, but it's a horror version. So basically, some people win a competition apparently, and they go to Fantasy Island, but it turns into a bloody nightmare, and it's quite gory. It's quite fun. I thought it was more of horror films always get a bad rap. I thought it was a good 6 out of 10 entertainment, and I really enjoyed it. But if you find it on Prime, which it was on Prime before, Fantasy Island with Michael Pena, who's in Crash, I think he's one of his most.
He's in Chips roles as well, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, Chips. Yeah, Poncherello in Chips. That's right.
He was.
I think that's worth a watch, Trev.
I wouldn't say it is, but carry on.
No, but you always do that to me. You just don't. But trust me, everyone, you're not like Trev. You don't just watch animated adult movie. Well, not adult movies. That sounds like Jungle Burger, doesn't it?
Jungle Burger. Yeah, I was going to say.
It's all he's been watching is Jungle Burger. But I think that basically sums up our recommendations, or not recommendations for the week.
One and one there for each of us.
One and one. I think it's good to steer people away as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think we've got time for a Dick of the Week, Trev. So here we go.
Yeah.
And for this week's Dick of the Week, we've picked one for Trev, and that's Richie Sambora, the American rock guitarist, singer, songwriter, and producer.
Want it,
dead or alive. So, what do you know about Dick Sambora, man? Apart from
Dick Sambora, well, he was probably dead or alive, and he was halfway there because he was living on a prayer.
Oh dear.
He basically. Dickie said, great guitar player. Basically, good wear of a cowboy hat. Wasn't he?
Yeah.
And a long coat. Good duster going on there. Good Dickie duster. Good mullet. Look good standing on dry ice coming up. I've seen Bon Jovi quite a few times. I'm not a major fan, as you can probably guess, but you can't. But, amazing. The weird thing is, with Dickie Sambora is Les Paul, the man that invented the Les Paul Gibson Les Paul guitar. He said that Richie Sambora was probably one of the greatest guitarists ever to live.
Wow.
Which is bizarre because I don't think I ever see him play a Les Paul. Which is bizarre because he always had these kind of very Stratocaster-y guitars with like little silver stars on, which look really crap. But probably it always did well. It can always come across as a decent fella in interviews.
Yeah, I'd say that, definitely.
Quite an entertainer. Sort of has been forgotten about. I think now I was going to go and see, because I think Bad Company we formed a couple of years back. And I was going to go and see him at Wembley or the O2. And he's married to another guitarist, not a bloke.
Well, is there a guitarist then, a female version?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, he's married to a guitarist. So it's Dickie and the guitarist. And she's like this kind of just like a blonde version of him.
Oh, dear.
Like a really
doppelganger
old, woman.
Female.
Yeah. But him and her were supporting. So I looked him up. I didn't bother going in the end, but just a really weird combination, But as a musician, really talented. I think personally, as I'm not the biggest Bon Jovi fan, I like the first album because it's just like a really cool segment of hair metal. But I think personally, and like probably people will disagree with me, but once Bon Jovi had lost their dick, they weren't the same band. Because now it's just, they're not Bon Jovi anymore, are they?
No.
It's John Bon Jovi.
Yeah, exactly.
And a couple of members hanging on and like, but no, I think they lost. It was like Bon Jovi to me with Dickie Sambora were like Aerosmith.
There was a time when I was jealous of him for being married to Heather Locklear, if I'm being honest.
Of course, but to be honest, then he must be quite well hung, Dick.
Yes. Yeah,
because he must have gone in. Can you imagine going in after Tommy Lee?
Yeah. You've seen the video then?
Christ.
Yeah.
No.
It's only rumour.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That'd be funny if you're the. Could you sleep with Heather Locklear, knowing what a fantastic looking woman she was, knowing that you're only going to half fill it?
Well, that's why he met her when he was older, because by then you just don't bother anymore, do you? You just sort of go on picnics and stuff and don't, it's just that's all he was doing. But it's
very rock and roll, Dick. Yeah, very hair metal, Dick.
He was in 30, 40 bands before joining Bon Jovi, so he took his time to find the right one.
He always looked older. A couple of members of Bon Jovi always did. I know the drummer was a lot older, Tico. He was older. Yeah. They did. Him and Tico Torres, Dickie Sambora, looked older. Then they had like a weird... I think the bass player was the first one to leave out the original members, but he just looked like he worked in like an LA hairstylist, the bass player, didn't he?
Yeah.
I can't even think of his name. Another keyboard player changed his name off the first album.
They could go straight away into Duran Duran, to be honest, to be in some of their 80s videos.
Yeah, the keyboard player, on the back of the first album, the self-titled one, that's quite good in a hair metal kind of way, his name was David Rashbaum.
Good name.
And then the second album come out, and his name was Dave Bryan.
Dave.
I was in my name, Dave Bryan. Like, okay, forget that I was called Dave Rashbaum, because that's probably what his real name. I thought, I can't go with Dave Bryan. He's not very rock and roll, so I put Rashbaum in, and then got embarrassed on the second album.
Go back to exactly.
Yeah.
So that's this week's Dick of the Week with Richie Sambora. You're our Dick of the Week. So there we go. I think we're more or less out of our dicks now, Trev. So what did you think of Richie Sambora's one?
He's a cowboy.
Yeah.
He's a cowboy on a steel horse he rides. He's wanted, dead or alive, isn't he?
See, even though you slag it, you know all the words. You have it.
Of course I do.
Yeah, you have them tattooed on your back.
Do you remember back in the day, we used to go out, didn't we?
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
They used to play that, didn't they? And you used to look for me, just putting the horns up, didn't you?
Exactly.
Every time you turn around, wherever you were.
That
in the
Nickelback,
room, that's it. That was the two, wasn't it? Yeah, that was it. And because I had long hair back in the day, I'd always get people, but you really like this song. No, I fucking don't.
Well, the thing is, that and Nickelback, never made it as a wise man, all that stuff. That one and that one, and Bon Jovi, all that stuff. Yeah, that one. That always gets people up on the dance floor. So we obviously us standing there slagging everyone off like we do on the podcast, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Basically, you're standing there surveying your world in Reflex or whatever it was at that time, and you'd go, and every time you'd put the horns up as it in a sarcastic way.
Would you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The funny thing is, you say that about Nickelback. They reckon that they are the nicest band to ever tour with. I've read some interviews with bands.
It's the first nice thing you've ever said about Chad Kroeger in your life.
It is. Yeah, they reckon that. Yeah, I saw an interview with Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains. He was supporting them, and he said they're like the nicest guys ever. The band Monster Truck, I read an interview with them that played with them.
We've been to see them a few times.
We have been, we have, and they reckon they were the nicest guys. So in a way, it shows you can be really nice guys but really shit musicians.
Is that the same with podcasts? Were we nice guys or are we usually shit guys?
No, we're the other way round. We're really shit guys, but we do good podcasts. I'd rather it be like that, to be honest.
No, that's cool. No, I would. Yeah, no, some of the coolest people we know are arseholes, but they're great at what they do.
This is it. That is very true.
Yeah. So there we go. That sums us up in a sentence anyway.
Yeah.
But I think that sums it up, Trevor. How are you getting home from Glasgow anyway?
Walking again.
Bloody hell, so you basically walked 1,000 miles.
I have. This is it. I've doubled the Proclaimers. What was it? 10,000, wasn't it? They did?
No, 500, isn't it?
500, I don't know. But,
I'm not asking people to write in with tell us how many miles the Proclaimers said we should be walking. You know what I mean? I've just started to couch to 5K on the NHS app, let alone doing the 500 miles.
Do you want me to bring anything back? Is there anything you'd like?
There's drink up there. You know, we spoke about that last week. You know, I'll have some of that.
Well, so any old shit.
Yeah, any old shit. Anything from Scotland. It's bound to be strong, although they're taxed on it.
It will be.
Although they're doing that to us now, aren't they? They're taxed on it by strength as well. So we're heading. Yes. Scotland do lead. You know, when you think of all the inventions the British have invented, a lot of that come from Scotland, didn't it? So the Scots are inventing. They don't live very long because they drink so much, as that's going to be me as well.
Their football's crap, though, isn't it?
You better find another podcast partner very soon. But their football is pretty crap. I mean, Celtic's a great ground. I've been around there. Have you?
I've been there. I've been to both of them. I've been Celtic and Rangers.
Sat in Rod Stewart's chair. He didn't come and tell me to get out because I'm bigger than him. But I've sat in his chair. Yeah, I must get them photos developed. I went there in 2006. Do you know what? With a proper old-fashioned camera, you know, like the old film developed ones. I still haven't developed the film. I've got the camera, so So that's what's that? 15 years. Bloody hell!
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I bet. I'll actually look younger in that. It'd be a young life, less ordinary. That would. I need to.
To be honest, by the time you get that done,
I'll be dead.
Let's be honest. Or the technology won't be there to get them done.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think. Where would I go? Imagine walking into a chemist now and saying, "Can you do this?" They'll be like, "Do you want some Viagra Connect or what?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, limp dick.
Just get out, limp dick.
you old limp dick. Away you go.
It's true. That'd be totally embarrassing. Yeah, actually going to get photos developed would be very embarrassing. I didn't even consider that. Do you know that?
No, this is it.
I'm actually going to look into that. So there you go. If anyone knows where I can get my photos developed from 2006, please go to amlopodcast.com, leave a message with a little blue button, or you can go to amlopodcast.com /voicemail, and then you can leave us a message, write us a message, send us a letter to, I don't know, what was the old Saturday Superstore address? London, LWT SQT or whatever.
Something like that, wasn't it?
Something like that. Just send it to there. We'll get it eventually.
We'll get it eventually. It'll come round.
It'll come round. So, there's that climate special. I think we sorted out the world, Trev. Thanks for joining us from Scotland.
Again, it's I'm gonna start my walk now. I've got my naps.
Will you be back for next week's episode? Will you be back?
I'll try to be.
Yeah,
I'll try to be.
I do appreciate that you're phoning us by satellite phone. That's going to be very expensive. You do know it's an international.
It's mega money, mate. Mega money.
Well, I do appreciate it.
Yeah, mega money. Well, for this podcast, mate, anything, you know that.
Oh, you do. You go the extra mile, 500 in this case. But
they're a bag of 1,000.
Yeah, oh, lovely. Well, thanks for that, Trev. Thanks all our listeners again.
I'll see you when I get back.
And we'll see you all soon, and we'll see you all on the next one.
Tatty bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please leave a rating and review and visit our website at www.amlopodcast.com to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Start living them good times. See you next time.